Welcome to Cause Before Symptom with your host, James Carner.
QAnon was created by the Tavistock Institute. I can prove it. Stick around. Welcome to Cause Before Symptom. I'm your host, James Carner. Yes, it's me again. Today is September 13th, 2024, Friday night. Do you have nothing better to do than just to look at this ugly guy talk about a bunch of conspiracy theories? No, because you are well informed and you want to know what's going on and you want to prepare yourself for the inevitable, which who knows that may be. Welcome to Cause Before Symptom. I am James Carner. Glad to be here. So I have posted this many times. I've done it on the podcast, but I want to make a video of it, a live video, so that it's going to be on my website, on Rumble, on my podcast, on Podbean. And I think it's still important to tell people the story of how I came to find Denis Tuohy. I think it's how you pronounce it. Tuohy. Anyway, and the Q phenomena and the anons and their link and why, the Tavistock Institute actually chose him to fool the far right into giving up all of their information and giving it to Trump. Yes, it's true. It's real. I have the info. And tonight I am going to play the video of his YouTube, the real guy, Denis, his YouTube recording of him doing an interview as Craig Oxley, and then another recording that he did on his Facebook. So I'm going to play it before he takes it down because we're on to him. So I'm excited about tonight. I am excited about going over, again, the whole Q thing and get this out once and for all. So let's get into it. Hello to PLP. Welcome to the show. And everybody else, I love you. Thanks for being here tonight. So QAnon was created by the Tavistock Institute. So here's the story. Q and the anons. Anonymous, okay? The dude is not named QAnon. The dude's name is Q, and the anons follow him. That's how it works. Now, Q and the anons came onto the scene around 2016, 2017, with a plan for the far right to trust in. Just like Operation Trust in Russia, right before the Bolsheviks took over, or the Bolsheviks lost control of Russia and the bankers came in. They did the exact same thing to American citizens, and the story is quite unbelievable. So you can basically be rest assured that America is absolutely controlled by the bankers, thanks to this Denis Tuohy guy. No joke. A plan to trust in, to eat popcorn and enjoy the show. The plan to stop the New World Order, and Trump is the leader who traveled the world on his first day in office, making deals to jail the Jesuits. This is the Q thing. Hey, Amanda, and I'm going to be giving you credit for this because Amanda, throughout the show, I'm going to show how she gave me, what information she gave me and how I found Denis Tuohy. So Amanda, love you, honey. So I believed in it. The QAnons, because all of the information that was given throughout 2016, 2017 through Q and Hillary Clinton, WikiLeaks, and all of the information that I knew was going on, and it seemed like finally the truth is coming out. That's how I felt. But really, when an oligarch family or families is ready to take over a nation once and for all, they don't care about the truth anymore. They just let it out and let us stew on it while they bring in a whole brand new system, which I believe is going to happen. A new epic, a new epoch, a new ethos, a new ism is coming. And it's in the form of Agenda 2030, where they're going to eliminate oil, which I think is a good thing. I hate to say it, but oil causes health problems, and it's not great for the environment. It's not. And we can create free energy, but on the other token, what they're going to bring in is a whole new control grid mechanism to where we won't still be able to hold on to free energy and create things like that and actually, profit off of it, come out with patents on free energy. And the elite, they plan on shackling us down as they get rid of the middle class. And they are pointing all of the countries, 195 countries that are out there, they are pushing all of their currencies to match with the dollar so that at some point they're going to switch all currencies to a central bank digital currency. And once that's in place, they can not only track every token and exchange that gets sent back and forth, they can track you, how much money you make, and they can turn it off at any time they want. This is the ultimate, greatest control mechanism and money supply system that isn't backed really by anything but their word. And I have told you guys that I have uncovered that Ripple, I forgot the guy's name, but the one of the guys that sits on the boards, he used to work for the NSA. And Ripple, this guy, the NSA, they all created Bitcoin at first. And I found that information as well. It's not Sakati Satamoto or whatever that is. It was made up to see if the people would buy into it. And sure enough, billions of dollars was pumped into Bitcoin, which gave them the go-ahead to start with the CBDC. Because I don't believe that the digital currency is the idea or brainchild of the people. I think this was in the plan of the elite for a very long time, and it's a great way to get rid of printing dollars on paper and coin and getting everything digital so they can have even more control over us. Because I know that software can be manipulated. I know that software can be hacked into, okay? And they know this too. And this is a better way of a control system than us being able to counterfeit, because hacking and counterfeiting Bitcoin is going to be harder than actually counterfeiting dollars or other currencies. And Q in this whole thing plays a big part in us giving up on our freedom. And so I wanted to point out who the guy is that helped usher in the entire right to give Trump, who I think is a traitor, to give Trump all of the far right and anybody who followed Trump, all of your information and how you feel politically. Because if you go to Truth, you have given them your phone number, your cell, you've given them your email, you've given them your address, and you have given them your political views. And I'm telling you that all that information that Devin Nunes is holding on to is power beyond imagination. And they're going to use it against us. I really believe so. I don't want to think that way, but unfortunately, we have to uncover the truth on this show. So I thought, after believing in Q, I thought that after 25 years of researching the Nazis that took over America, that maybe we would be able to get our country back from a corporation of the crown. Remember what Russell-J. Gould told us, that in 1871, when we filed for our second bankruptcy in America, the Crown gave us a loan for $3 million, and that loan came with stipulations. Basically, we become a corporation and a debt nation to the Crown. Now, according to Russell-J. Gould, in 1999, the third bankruptcy was up, which started in 1933, and therefore he and his partner took the Title IV flag from the Pentagon. They gave it to him willingly. And then they went to the United Nations and filed for rights to all of the land underneath all court systems worldwide. Now, they came into battle with the beast system. And it was brutal. And they, unfortunately, I believe, lost. Russell is still doing it. I believe in what he's doing. I think he's a good guy. I do. I don't think he's some, crazy kook that did all of this. I think he's a patriot, and I still believe in what he's doing. But the thing is we're a corporation. We're not a country. So I don't know how he's going to use his platform to get us back as a country and fight these people, because they are extremely powerful, connected, and have more money than we could ever imagine. And to go up against the beast system, especially when the Antichrist is supposedly set to come, that's almost an impossible trait, especially if it's prophetic. So I bought into it, and I was hoping our country was going to come back to us, the people. And Trump started saying things like that in his inauguration speech. So I bought into it. I thought it was real. It made me happy. I'm like, yes, we're finally going to get our country back. I wanted it back. I'm sure you all wanted it back. Shout out to Boots, PLP, Amanda, and Graveyard. What's up? So a year and a half ago, I just changed my mind. I don't know why. I just did it. I was live on TikTok, and I'm just talking, doing my normal stupid self. And then it just came out. I said, I'm getting off the Trump train. And it was after when I saw the inside of Trump's mansion in New York, which had all Masonic symbolism, all white and gold. And seeing him also support the Zionists and the genocide of the Palestinians in Gaza, that was it for me. So I'm going to show you guys an article that is according to the Anti-Defamation League, the actual Zionists, on what they say QAnon is, okay? And then I'm going to give you a description of what the news media says QAnon is, okay? And then I'm going to give you a description of the New York Times and them using an artificial intelligent machine learning analyzer that they found who they say is Q, and they're all wrong. The Anti-Defamation League's wrong, the news media is wrong, and New York Times, when they put out, hey, we know who Q is, it's this guy, they're wrong, and I'm going to expose it all tonight. I want you guys to pay attention to this. Don't discredit it. I'm going to show you the proof that the guy that I found, who I know is Q, I am going to give you the evidence. I remember back on TikTok, people, when I post my quick little short 10-minute videos of things that I uncover, everyone continues to ask me, where's your source? Where's your proof? Where's your source? Where's your proof? Well, when I started this Rumble account, I decided that I'm going to do at least an hour to an hour and a half show every night. I'm going to dedicate that to you guys. I'm going to expose things like this, and I'm also going to give you my sources, my links. Okay, so you can go and make up your own mind once and for all. If you think that the stuff that I uncover is bullshit, fine with me. I don't care. My job is just to put it out there. And I feel better knowing that, at least as a human being, I have exposed some of what the aristocrats worldwide are doing to bring in and usher in what they would consider their utopia, one world order, new world order, one government under one rule, one army, one religion, faith, and one epic, or one ethos, or one ism. And it's coming, if not here already, especially after World War II, when Germany, well, World War I actually, when Germany set to take out the bankers, and they lost. So here is what the Anti-Defamation League, the real Zionists, okay? Israel are the Zionists. We've talked about that before, the Khazarian Jews, okay, from the land of Prussia. They are the ones who have been running the banking show. They are the dynasties of the Mesopotamians. They are the dynasties of the Egyptians. They are the dynasties of even the Anunnaki, if you could even believe in something like that. And it dates all the way back to the Canaanites, all the way back. They have managed to infiltrate through their black magic every single country or corporation that gets big, and basically marry themselves into it. All right, here is the Anti-Defamation League official report on QAnon. They say QAnon is a decentralized, far-right political movement rooted in a baseless conspiracy theory that former President Donald Trump is waging a secret war against the deep state. A cabal of satanic worshiping pedophiles who control the world and run a global child sex trafficking ring. This is on the Anti-Defamation League website. murdering children in ritual satanic sacrifices in order to harvest a supposedly life-extending chemical from their blood known as adrenochrome. Wow, they don't hold back. They just go right at it, don't they? Wow. Zionists just publicly admitting what they do. I'm just kidding. QAnon theories, which are popular among far-right extremists and some Trump supporters, are an amalgam of novel and well-established conspiracy theories with marked undertones of anti-Semitism, anti-LGBTQ plus hate, which I've never seen any when it comes to Q, and immigrant bias, or anti-immigrant bias. Well, we're just anti you turning us into Mexico, anti turning us into a third world country. We're anti sending 40 million immigrants across the border. And I'm not Q's follower. I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm just a realist saying 40 million people across the border that have no jobs are going to take over the jobs of those who actually had jobs. And they're going to work for way less and for no benefits. I'm telling you. And that's the ultimate goal. And it's going to bring up all kinds of messes and crimes and you name it. And that's just how it is, There was nothing we could do about it. When we actually found out about it, it was already too late. So, the Anti-Defamation League does not like QAnon, apparently. According to QAnon lore, nearly every recent president has been a puppet put in place by the so-called deep state. But Donald Trump was recruited by top military generals to run for president in 2016. We've all heard this story. I bought into it. I am a moron. Or I could say I was. Trump's mission: to expose and take down the deep state, which will take place during the storm, a violent day of reckoning in which deep state actors and their collaborators will be arrested en masse and sent to Guantanamo Bay in Cuba, where they will face military tribunals and be executed for their various supposed crimes against humanity. They couldn't have said it any better myself. They seriously. They're on it. The Anti-Defamation League, whoever wrote this, pretty much put it all right there into character, short, simple, and sweet. In the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic and 2020 presidential election, QAnon has bolstered anti-vaccine skepticism and false claims that the 2020 election was stolen from Trump. QAnon followers played a significant role in efforts to overturn and discredit the results of the 2020 election, including the January 6, 2021 Capitol insurrection. Again, this is on the Anti-Defamation League website about QAnon. What followers believe is QAnon consists of a number of deeply convoluted conspiracy theories and elevates theories ranging from satanic blood rituals to the faked death of John F. Kennedy Jr., all tenuously centered around the belief that the world is controlled by a global cabal of Satan-worshipping pedophiles. That I still believe. I don't believe in Trump, but I believe in that. This kitchen sink approach, I love it. This kitchen sink approach is a major reason why QAnon has gained such a substantial following in its relatively short life. Since its 2017 inception, the movement has become a big tent, conspiracy capable of accommodating and encompassing all sorts of theories and global events. It's not all doom and gloom. QAnon followers also believe there are good forces at play, men and women working with the government to thwart the deep state. QAnon followers refer to these people as white hats. They're doing a good job explaining it, I'll tell you. I couldn't have done it better myself. According to Q, the mysterious insider who is leaking information to their followers about the plan to take down the deep state, the white hats stopped Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton from stealing the 2016 election. As the theory goes, the Democratic elites needed to win the presidency in order to pay back funds that the Clinton Foundation stole from other nations under the guise of 2010 emergency earthquake aid to Haiti. Rather than help Haitians in dire straits, Q claimed that the Clintons supposedly used the money to fund a massive child sex trafficking operation from the disaster-stricken nation. Well, I have never seen the frazzle drip videos that were found on Anthony Weiner's laptop that apparently some cops who saw it threw up and killed themselves. Maybe they'll mention that here coming up. I don't know. But Clinton and Haiti, I think there's a connection. So the White Hats identified the only person they considered honest and moral enough to resist the evils of the deep state, Donald Trump, who they recruited to run for president in 2016. Yes, I can see how even the Anti-Defamation League would discredit Q and the anons and this crazy freaking conspiracy theory. Because I don't buy it anymore. I just don't. Graveyard says, I've heard the supposed video of Podesta screaming at the young kid. Yeah, you think you're smart, don't ya? Yeah, I heard it too. Is it real? We don't know. It's all conjecture. Ever since Trump's election, Trump and the White Hats have been embroiled in what QAnon adherents view as an epic battle with the deep state, the storm. QAnon followers believe a team of military and government insiders posting under the Q identity is leaking information to the public in order to enlighten them to the plan and quell any civil unrest that may occur when the storm begins. QAnon's adherents call the process the Great Awakening or the storm. Well, do you guys not remember the quantum financial system, the QFS system that was coming? That the fake accounts that used my images and videos were pitching and stealing money from crypto from other people. Don't you remember when the banks were supposed to open up and allow us in, and we were going to give a briefcase of how we're going to, get some digital ID and be a fighter for humanity as long as we pitch to them an outline or a business plan of how we are going to change the world, and we were all going to get like $5 million. Remember all that shit? Remember? It was all bullshit. And they're still pitching it today. And I'm glad I jumped off that because it's so stupidly not real. I feel stupid myself for jumping on that train for 6 years, 4 years while Trump was president, 2 years while Biden was doing his thing. The successful completion of the plan hinges on hundreds of thousands of alleged sealed indictments. Well, we've seen, and this is true, and from what I understand, there are over 200,000 concealed indictments that the United States Department of Justice have against whom knows what. These supposedly being compiled at the Department of Justice against the prominent Democrats, Hollywood celebrities, business leaders, and other elites who make up the cabal. Well, not all of Hollywood does. Okay? Not all. Hey, what's up, Bushido? These indictments are set to be unsealed during a violent day of reckoning known as the Storm, when the cabal and its collaborators will promptly be arrested and sent to Guantanamo Bay, where they will face military tribunals and possible executions for their crime. The storm takes its name from a comment then-President Trump made during a photo op held before a White House military dinner on October 5th, 2017, in which he remarked that the dinner was maybe the calm before the storm. When a reporter asked, "What storm, Mr. President?" Trump responded, "You'll find out." Q has repeatedly suggested that the storm was imminent, even going so far as to claim that certain members of the cabal, such as Hillary Clinton and John Podesta, would be arrested on certain dates. While those dates have all come and gone with no arrests, QAnon adherents have remained steadfast in their support for Q. who has explained away these failed predictions by claiming that the arrests had to be delayed for various reasons and that disinformation is necessary to throw the deep state off the white hat's plan. Are you not feeling stupid for following Q? Because I'm feeling stupid. Because the Anti-Defamation League has put this together really well. As the QAnon movement grew and migrated to more mainstream social media platforms, it developed numerous subplots, such as the far-fetched conspiracy theory that John F. Kennedy Jr. is still alive and will become Trump's new vice president. Well, we found out he's not. That various politicians and celebrities such as Michelle Obama are transgender, that you can order trafficked children online from Wayfair, and that the tweets from various celebrities and politicians about the deaths of their dogs are secret messages about members of the deep state being arrested or executed, or a dog code. Do you think the Anti-Defamation League would post this on their website if it was real? Maybe. Amidst the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, the QAnon and anti-vaccine communities have been or become increasingly intertwined. In the early days of the pandemic, QAnon adherents latched onto theories that the COVID-19 virus was a bioweapon created by the deep state to help sway the results of the 2020 election and usher in a great reset. QAnon followers have also promoted numerous false claims and disinformation about COVID-19 vaccines, claiming that the vaccines are being used to implant microchips to track people, that the vaccines can alter people's DNA, and that the vaccines are being used to sterilize and kill off parts of the population. Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February of 2022 has ushered in additional theories about the COVID-19 virus origins, with some QAnon adherents claiming that the virus is a bioweapon created in U.S.-funded bioweapons labs in Ukraine. Well, we have already found evidence that links the NIH to China and that they funded China to create this bioweapon. So I don't think that's a conspiracy theory. Election conspiracies. Well, the QAnon movement, again, this is according to the Anti-Defamation League website, the Zionists. The QAnon movement has continued to evolve following Trump's defeat in the 2020 presidential election, incorporating new conspiracy theories and other forms of extremism. Like, we've heard that Trump is using this 4 years to entrap the deep state and then arrest them all when he's back for his next 4 years. QAnon adherents have repeatedly promoted false claims that the 2020 election was rigged to rationalize their belief that President Joe Biden is a fake president and will soon be removed from office, which he never was, with some even going so far as to claim that former President Trump is still in control. Devolution, remember? Devolution? An outlandish conspiracy theory created by QAnon influencer Patel Patriot, or John Harold, posits that Trump, aware that the deep state was planning to steal the 2020 election, devolved the U.S. government via an executive order right before he left office and is still secretly president, working with the military behind the scenes to expose China and the deep state for teaming up to steal the election. QAnon supporters have also repeatedly claimed that Trump will eventually be reinstated as president. One of the earliest forms of this reinstatement theory settled on the date of March 4th, 2021, promoting a sovereign citizen-linked theory that former President Trump would return to power on that date, succeeding former President Ulysses S. Grant as the 19th president. Although nothing happened on March 4th, some QAnon adherents have continued to promote the belief that Trump will soon be reinstated as president. We've all heard this. Anti-Defamation League they spilled the whole QAnon phenomenon right out. It is important to note that several aspects of QAnon lore mirror long-standing anti-Semitic tropes. So the Zionists are saying, oh, and by the way, don't hate Jews. And multiple QAnon influencers such as Ghost Ezra, Robert Smart, IET Craig Langley, Negative 48, Michael Protzman, and QAnon John, or John Sabal, have been known to peddle anti-Semitic beliefs. The belief that a global cabal is involved in rituals of child sacrifice has roots in the anti-Semitic trope of blood libel, the false theory that Jews murder Christian children for ritualistic purposes. In addition, QAnon has a deep-seated hatred for financier and philanthropist George Soros. Wow, I have to say a deep-seated hatred. A name that has become synonymous with perceived Jewish meddling in global affairs. Well, he's not really Jewish. He's German, I think. Or Austrian, one or the other. And QAnon's ongoing obsession with the global elite of bankers has also deeply anti-Semitic undertones. Well, because a lot of people who are anti-bankers have stumbled across information about the Rothschilds, and who the people that were telling the Rothschilds what to do were the Khazarian mafia. There's a lot of paperwork that lead right to it. But I'm sure they're going to call me anti-Semitic. I'm wondering when I will be put in the Anti-Defamation League website. James Carner, Anti-Defamation League. I just want to see if I'm in there. If I'm on there. No, doesn't look like it. Thank God. One day, maybe. QAnon was so according to academia and mainstream media, all right, I just read the Anti-Defamation League's theory or information on what Q and QAnon is, or Q and the Anons is. Now we're going to talk about mainstream, what mainstream and academia say about QAnon, which is even so far off. I believe that the Anti-Defamation League was straight, clear, right to the point. And what mainstream media says, they start going off in weird stuff. QAnon, they say, was the offspring of a conspiracy theory known as Pizzagate. Well, it wasn't. Pizzagate was around during that, but it was not a offspring of it. In 2016, the website WikiLeaks released a trove of emails that Russian hackers had stolen from the account of John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign chair for her 2016 presidential election bid. On the website 4chan, a forum characterized by trollish behavior, extreme content, and lax moderation, anonymous users posited that the use of the term cheese pizza in Podesta's emails was code for child pornography, and that a Washington, D.C. pizzeria named Comet Ping Pong, from which Podesta had ordered, was engaged in a sexual exploitation of children. Ultimately, Pizzagate conspiracy theorists invoked the existence of an elite cabal of satanic cannibals operating a child sex trafficking ring out of the basement of Comet Ping Pong. While the restaurant does not, in fact, have a basement, that's what they say. Edgar Welsh, a Pizzagate conspiracy theory believer, decided to self-investigate the matter. So on December 4th, 2016, he drove from North Carolina to Washington, D.C., armed with an AR-15, a shotgun, and a revolver. Let me just say, he had no wisdom. He entered Comet Ping Pong and fired several rounds in an effort to uncover the pizzeria's non-existent basement. But he surrendered to police after determining that the ritual or the intel on Pizzagate wasn't 100%. In 2017, Welsh was sentenced to 4 years in prison on federal weapons charges. Okay. On October 28th, 2017, again, this is the academia's explanation of Q and QAnon and Q and the Anons. On October 28, 2017, an unidentified individual or group of individuals known as Q posted an entry on 4chan asserting that the arrest of Hillary Clinton was already in motion, a statement that was obviously false. In a later post, Q claimed to be a government official with ties to the Trump administration and top-secret Q clearance. Q asserted that Trump would initiate the storm, an attack on deep state officials responsible for the cannibalistic satanic pedophile cabal invoked by Pizzagate. The resultant conspiracy theory became eponymously known as QAnon. Q drops cryptic 4chan posts consisting of alleged intelligence from the highest levels of power fed the conspiracy, while Bakers, a collective of YouTube content creators and 4chan and Reddit users wave Q's latest breadcrumbs into the overarching narrative. In early 2018, Q drops migrated from 4chan to 8chan, later called 8kun, 8KUN. Don't know why. A similar message board that was owned by Jim Watkins, an American expatriate who was living in the Philippines. Watkins and his son Ron would play a significant role in the propagation and possibly creation of the Q mythos. Later in 2018, Reddit banned its most active QAnon subforums for inciting violence, a clear breach of the site's term of service. It would not be the last site to attempt to limit potentially harmful QAnon activity. After this commercial, we're going to talk even more about it.
When the Roaring 20s, while everyone was talking about prohibition, Standard Oil quietly changed modern medicine from plants to synthetics made from crude oil. It sounded harmless because it was just a byproduct of oil, but pharmaceuticals just blew up because oil was cheap and everywhere. Unfortunately, the Depression and the Spanish flu outbreak diverted attention from studying crude oil, synthetics, and the human body, basically to determine if it was safe for consumption. Big Oil was able to suppress such research and build an empire where 95% of all medicine we take now is derived from crude oil. Now, studies have shown that crude oil is not only in medicine, but in our shampoo, deodorants, dishwashing detergents, and water bottles, creating what would appear to be modern diseases that cross the stomach-brain barrier. Diseases that never existed before, like Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, and autism, where scientists have actually found links to synthetic oil, not including geoengineering, where organizations are actually using heavy metals to control the weather that is in our soil and food. I wanted to find a way to reverse those effects of industrialism and turn back time to where oil wasn't a part of our bodies anymore. My team created Elite Potion, a supplemental product that binds to heavy metals and kills parasites that our bodies used to break down and dispose of. Whimsy Worm Wash works to kill microscopic parasites that escape into our bloodstream. Our Nickel Nixer Elixir formula binds to nano heavy metal particulates and the parasite debris, flushing them out of the body like it used to. Unfortunately, with the fourth industrial revolution coming, humans have to adapt to silicon, oil, and heavy metals in order to merge with machines. And I wanted a product for myself to stop the effects of this, so basically I can live longer and feel better. I've been using it for months now, and I feel like I'm in my 20s again.
We're back, and we're talking about QAnon, the Q and the anons, and its potential influence. We just talked about the Anti-Defamation League explanation of what QAnon phenomenon is, and then now we're describing what the mainstream media says about QAnon. Over time, bakers and other QAnon-associated personalities expanded the conspiracy theory in response to world events and Trump's actions. While Trump-aligned politicians and even Trump himself sometimes echoed QAnon beliefs online, at rallies, or at official appearances. For example, QAnon theorists addressed the coronavirus SARS-CoV-2 pandemic by suggesting that drinking industrial bleach marketed as miracle mineral solution could cure COVID-19, the potential deadly disease caused by the virus. At a press conference in April of 2020, Trump posited similar claims when he proposed that disinfectant agents like bleach could be administered by injection inside or almost a cleaning to combat the virus. Trump also used Twitter to boost QAnon's reach. He retweeted scores of posts from QAnon believers and other conspiracy theorists. At least some of those posts came from accounts which were later determined to have been run by Russian intelligence agents. Like the El Trumpo Lidero. You know what I'm talking about? They're saying that Spanish account, that Trump account, was actually Russian disinformation agents. During wildfire season on the west coast of the United States in the fall of 2020, which was horrible, Q reposted false claims made by a former U.S. Senate candidate from Oregon that 6 members of Antifa had been arrested for starting wildfires. In this way, QAnon and the broader Trump movement created a mutually reinforced shared reality. As QAnon spread from 4chan to 8chan and closed on Reddit forums to mainstream social media sites, belief in the conspiracy theory spread rapidly across the United States and abroad. From October 2017 to June of 2020, the Institute for Strategic Dialogue identified over 69 million tweets, 487,000 Facebook posts, and 281,000 Instagram posts mentioning QAnon-related phrases or hashtags. Trust a plan. Kick. The conspiracy theories, 4chan or origins, remained apparent, however, in its heavy reliance on memes, in-jokes, trolling, and other elements of internet culture. Looming especially large in the QAnon belief system, where phrases and concepts appropriated from a pair of films from the late 1990s. QAnon believers claimed to have been red-pilled, a description of the process of enlightenment in the Matrix in 1999, and urged others to follow the White Rabbit, a line from the Matrix that was itself a reference to Lewis Carroll's Alice Adventures in Wonderland, 1965. The theatrical trailer for A White Squall, 1996, an obscure Ridley Scott disaster film, warned the calm before the storm and provided QAnon with perhaps its most recognizable slogan, "Where we go one, we go all." This phrase was often abbreviated as WWG1WGA. You all know this. On YouTube, the comment sections for videos of The Matrix and White Squall were often filled with discussions of QAnon. Well, can we all admit that this year, while Trump has been running for president, we're not hearing shit about Q anymore? Why is that? You would think that this thing would just continue, but maybe it's because they kept moving the flag, the goalpost, you know? Maybe because it was all bullshit to begin with. Maybe because it was created by the Tavistock Institute. I'm going to show you. In the 2020 elections, dozens of Republican congressional candidates voiced their support for QAnon. 2, Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia and Lauren Boebert of Colorado were elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. So they both believed in it. This is another reason why I was believing into it, because, well, they're saying they support it. So is there something going on inside that is really happening? Or are they just doing this because this is what the right are talking about and they're just trying to make their constituents, feel like they're in the know? Both were among the most vocal supporters of Trump's big lie concerning the outcome of the 2020 U.S. presidential contest. By that time, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube had begun to quash QAnon content, an effort that only intensified after January 6th of 2021 with the attack on the U.S. Capitol by Trump supporters. Numerous QAnon believers committed crimes based on the conspiracy theory. In June of 2018, Matthew Wright staged a nearly hour-long standoff with law enforcement on a bridge near the Hoover Dam. Not very wise. Armed with a pair of assault rifles, 2 handguns, and 900 rounds of ammunition, Wright blocked traffic with his armored vehicle and stated that he was on a mission for QAnon. Shit. He demanded access to an official report on the Federal Bureau of Investigation agents who had investigated Hillary Clinton's use of private email server for official communications. There had been a Q drop referencing just such a report 2 days earlier. Wright attempted to flee, but he was ultimately apprehended by Arizona police. In 2021, he was sentenced to almost 8 years in prison. In March of 2019, Anthony Camello shot and killed Gambino crime family boss Francesco Calli, reportedly because Camillo believed that he was Trump's personal vigilante and that Calli was a member of the deep state. In May of 2019, an FBI intelligence bulletin identified followers of fringe political conspiracy theories such as QAnon as potential domestic terrorism threats. So if you're a QAnon follower, you're a terrorist. This assessment would be proved correct during the deadly events of January 6, 2021, the insurrection. Among the hundreds of pro-Trump rioters who were arrested after battling police and storming the Capitol building were members of the neo-fascist white nationalist organizations such as the Proud Boys, who were FBI, and more than 60 self-identified QAnon adherents. Perhaps the most recognizable rioter was Jacob Chansley, the so-called QAnon shaman, who was photographed on the floor of the U.S. Senate, bare-chested and sporting a spear and a horned helmet. Chansley was found guilty of unlawfully obstructing an official proceeding, the certification of the results of the 2020 presidential election, and sentenced to 41 months in prison. He got out, and now he's still vocal about the government being fascist and harming its own people. I would agree. QAnon also gained believers after the world, or around the world, continued. Between November 2019 and June of 2020, after the United States, most QAnon-related posts came from the United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia. In August 2020, street protests involving up to 500 participants occurred in 10 cities across the United Kingdom. The group Freedom for the Children UK organized the protests in response to concerns about the global pedophile cabal. Fear and anxiety over the coronavirus SARS-CoV-2 pandemic fueled the spread of QAnon to more than 70 countries, with especially large groups of believers in Germany and Brazil. So who was Q? The final Q drop appeared on December 8th, 2020, a month after Trump's election loss, with a link to a video that implied that Trump would soon be sworn in for a second term as president. Well, was he? We all thought he was. Like the overwhelmingly majority of Q's predictions, it did not come to pass. But this, along with silence from the movement's ostensible leader, did little to check the spread of transformation of the baseless conspiracy theory. In the year that followed, scores of QAnon adherents converged on Dallas, Texas, to await the appearance of John F. Kennedy Jr. at the location where his father had been assassinated in '63. It was believed that the younger Kennedy, who died in '99, would reappear and join Trump as his vice president. This is just one way in which the conspiracy evolved and remained relevant to its believers in the absence of Q. The apparent end of Q drops did nothing to address the lingering question at the center of the conspiracy theory, the identity of Q, which I found, thanks to Amanda. Some QAnon adherents proposed that Q was Trump himself, while others suggested Trump advisor Steve Bannon, former Trump National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, or Republican political operative Roger Stone. Two teams of forensic linguistics, no joke, used machine learning to analyze thousands of Q drops, and they determined that QAnon was most likely the work of South African software engineer Paul Ferber and 8chan or 8kun administrator Ron Watkins. Neither had any kind of special access to intelligence or classified information, but both were extremely well versed in the language and culture of conspiracy-themed message boards. Ferber, a 4chan moderator and one of the first public proponents of QAnon, was identified as the author of the earliest Q drops. These messages echoed many of the themes of Pizzagate, but they eschewed the specificity of that conspiracy in favor of vague proclamations, often followed by questions that encouraged readers to engage and build upon the narrative. Further was among those who enlisted the initial bakers to spread QAnon beyond the confines of 4chan. In early 2018, there appeared to be a struggle for control of the Q account, after which point Q drops migrated to 8chan, and Watkins likely became the sole voice of Q, which I believe. Although both Ferber and Watkins publicly denied knowing the identity of Q, Watkins appeared to admit to having authored some of the Q drops during an interview for the HBO documentary Q Into the Storm 2021. Watkins took back this admission almost immediately, but he subsequently turned his deep association with QAnon into a political career. In October of 21, Watkins announced his candidacy for a U.S. congressional seat in Arizona, which he lost. Bad investigators, bad information, and total propaganda is what this whole thing was about. Let's get into the truth. According to the New York Times, the newspaper used AI to find out who Q was by analyzing the writings and comparing to other writings online. They used sophisticated software, broke down the Q text into patterns of 3-character sequences, and tracked the reoccurrence of each possible combination. Their technique does not highlight memorable idiosyncratic word choices the way that earlier forensic linguistics often did. But the advocates of stylometry, I guess, note that they can quantify their software's error rate. I don't even know what that means. I have an idea, but good God. Just get to the point. The teams studying Q in touch with each other after the Swiss scientists released an earlier preliminary study showing that the writings had changed over time, each team applied different techniques. The Swiss scientists used software to measure similarities in the 3 character patterns across multiple texts while comparing the complexity of vocabulary and syntax. The French team used a form of artificial intelligence that learns the patterns of an author's writing in roughly the same way that facial recognition software learns human features. Their conclusions was that Paul Ferber was their first suspect and Ron Watkins was their second. They were way off. Paul just helped spread the information, while Ron mimicked Q after Q went silent. Now here are my investigations. Last year, a listener named Amanda, you guys know Amanda, that's Rose Gold 17, showed a thread online to me. And the thread said this: Q is a Tavistock operation, and QAnons are Tavistock agents with Craig Oxley of justinformed.com and unhivedmind.com. As a top member, who is the Illuminati's vicar of Prometheus and a high-level member of the Tavistock Institute, which was financed by the Rockefeller Foundation. Craig Oxley refers to himself as a Promethean, works in the United Kingdom where there is a statue of Prometheus, the thief, at the Rockefeller Plaza. And I have this website below. You guys can check it out. All of my sources are here. Both websites, Just Informed and The Unhived Mind, were extremely popular around the year 2000. I remember reading them and finding the information very useful. But like all information we find about the Illuminati or the elite or the bloodlines or the baby eaters, there is bait with this information to steer you in the wrong direction. And Craig Oxley of Just Informed and The Unhived Mind put out a ton of misinformation about the Vatican around those times, around the year 2000. But just enough to steer you away from the actual Orsini family and the Breakspear. After spreading disinformation for years, Craig Oxley, he went underground and started helping Tavistock Institute with the Q movement. He claims he made up the name Pepe. It's a nickname of the Grey Pope that Prince Domenico Napoleon Orsini is the 22nd Duke of Gravina, and his nickname is Pepe. And Pepe just so happens to be the QAnon frog. Keck. The Tavistock Institute of Human Relations is a British non-profit organization that applies social science to contemporary issues and problems. It was initiated in 1946. Right? I mean, you can't make this stuff up. 1946, right when L. Ron Hubbard, Jack Parsons did their Babylon working ritual. When it developed from Tavistock Clinic and was formally established as a separate entity in September of 1947, right when the Roswell crash. Coincidentally, when Alice Bailey wrote her New Age manifesto, the Roswell crash and Israel became a nation. Tavistock has treated over 9,000 children for gender dysphoria with puberty blockers without adequate therapy beforehand. Just saying. Now, Andrew Russell, the 15th Duke of Bedford and Marquis of Tavistock, is the top overseer of the Tavistock Institute, and he is worth over $500 million. Not a lot, but hey, he's got some cash. Andrew Russell is one of the most evil creatures on the planet. The Russell family, Russell, one of the 13 illuminated bloodlines, also co-founded Yale University and Skull and Bones, which is a military death cult that uses electronic weapon like voice-to-skull torture. The actress Carrie Russell is from this family, and she is a ruthless sadist directly working with Skull and Bones and the Bush family, which is why she was in that movie that I talked about last night, in Alien Abductions. The Bush family are the top members of Skull and Bones and work with the Tavistock Institute and command the use of voice-to-skull torment technologies. Now, to quote Craig Oxley, this is what he said. May I remind you that the worshipful, he's already a Mason. When you say worshipful, You're a Mason. May I remind you that the worshipful company of barbers love cesarean sections because this damages the child's brain function, thus lowering IQ, and also it lowers the immunity of the child, unquote. You see, Craig Oxley believes in euthanasia, depopulation, and National Socialism. Finding information on him now is extremely difficult, but seasoned patriot sites mention him routinely as they fought against his misinformation and recruitment of patriots to the dark side. Pepe the Frog is the brainchild of Craig Oxley, and the phrase kek, K-E-K, is a Korean imitative slang for laughter used similarly to LOL. Kek, like, haha, we're laughing at you, just like Napoleon Orsini is laughing at you, Domenico. Craig used the nickname Pepe for the Frog as a hidden way of saying Domenico Napoleon Orsini, the 22nd Duke of Gravina, is responsible for Q. The entire patriot movement in America was actually formed by the Tavistock Institute, who are a master of online disinformation, and use this movement like the Russian Operation Trust. Elon Musk posts Pepe memes and often uses the phrase kek as he is part of the Orsini control mechanism. Back in 2006, British blogger Craig Oxley came onto the truther scene, started dropping truth bombs about the Vatican on many forums, and I remember seeing them and reading them. Things no one has ever heard of, like gray, white, and black popes. He developed a following and then disappeared for about 10 years. Then he returned again, developed another following, but this time the people started questioning his material. And then he got pissed and left, again, never to return as Craig Oxley. Now, Craig Oxley, while he was there, putting out information on his 2 websites, gave the truthers enough information to start digging into the Vatican. They actually found out more information than he did, and by the time Craig returned for one last recruit, they called him out on a lot of the incorrect statements. For example, he exposed Pepe Orsini, but not Domenico Napoleon Orsini. He just said Pepe Orsini, who is actually the real Gray Pope. And he didn't stay long this time and vanished completely, up until he came up with Q by the Tavistock. And I'll explain. Through my research of Craig Oxley, I noticed on one of the forums he used the nickname Too Tough. Too Tough. The number 2, T-U-F-F. He's like, and many of the truthers called him Craig Too Tough Oxley. Okay? Ironically, there is an MMA fighter named Craig Oxley, and I believe he used that name to conceal his identity. I started looking at UK businesses by the name Too Tough, and coincidentally, there was a Too Tough Health and Fitness Limited a few miles away from Tavistock Institute, and the owner's name is Liam Denis Tuohy, a middle-aged ADHD sufferer whom opened up a gym to help other sufferers of ADHD. There are boxing images on his Facebook page, but not enough to pin him to Craig Oxley. But then I found the proof, and I'm going to play it for you in a second. He has a video on his gym website describing his life story, and I compared that video to some of the interviews he did back in 2009 on YouTube with truthers. They sound identical. This, in my opinion, is the just-informed Craig Oxley, who is responsible for directing the truther movement towards the Vatican back then. Watch this.
Anymore because you put on loads and loads of weight. Maybe you've got no energy to do the things you used to do. Or perhaps you're missing nights out with friends and family. Maybe.
Okay, now listen to this guy. This is Craig Oxley on YouTube.
That truly controls the United States, linked, of course, with regional assistant James A. Grumman, Jesuit. It's the same Georgetown University where Quigley...
Okay, now listen to this guy again.
You're missing meals because you feel like you can't really eat the things that
Okay, now this guy.
...named the groomed puppet that you know as William Clinton.
And this guy.
you just think, imagine you was in a place.
It's him. It's him. Tell me. You guys tell me. I hear the the same freaking voice and enunciations in his voices. That's him. That's Craig Oxley. And the internet, somebody, I don't know who, posted that he was working with the Tavistock Institute. Now, what I found out was he had another company called Lime something, and I'll explain it in a second, before he founded Too Tough. And I believe that this other company that he founded was the money that the Tavistock gave him in order to open up the gym for him to go do Q and bring out that movement. So that's the truth. That is him. That is Craig Oxley. The two of the same. And again, I posted my links down below. You can see all of the information. I'm not hiding any of my sources, okay? So Too Tough, Craig Oxley, is Liam Dennis Tuohy of Too Tough Fitness in London. Okay, London is the same as Washington, D.C. in America. London is the tri-city of the Jesuits. There's the Vatican, London, and Washington, D.C. So, they sound identical. This is my opinion. This is the just-informed Craig Oxley, who is responsible for directing the Truther movement towards the Vatican back then. And I put this up here because I know now that this is going to get out there, and I'm putting this on my website as well. I'm not just posting on TikTok and just letting it go because I needed to get this stuff recorded. So there it is. There you have it. Let me know your opinion, guys, if that sounds just like him. All right. But is he Q? I needed evidence to tie him to the Tavistock Institute, which, by the way, according to author and PhD Daniel Estulin, the Tavistock Institute is a nonprofit charity that applies social science to contemporary issues and problems via the internet. His book posits that the Tavistock Institute is the world's center for mass brainwashing and social engineering activities. In his eye-opening book, Tavistock Institute, Social Engineering the Masses, both the Tavistock Network and the methods of brainwashing and psychological warfare are uncovered. It grew from a somewhat crude beginning at Wellington House into a sophisticated organization that was to shape the destiny of the entire planet and in the process change the paradigm of modern society. With connections to U.S. research institutes, think tanks, and the drug industry, Tavistock has a large reach and attempts to show that the conspiracy is real and who is behind it, what its final long-term objectives are, and how we the people can stop them. It's a great book. You should check it out. Now, could Liam Dennis Tuohy, spelled Tuohy, be a paid informant of the Tavistock Institute to create QAnon in order to keep the truther movement from rising up? Well, some truthers seem to think so. While searching the Internet Archives, I found a blog by an author named Israel Zeus, spelled Izrealzeus, whom exposed 33 satanic clans, including major celebrities. Israel writes about Craig, quote, he sort of exposed the Orsini family, but never named the real Orsinis, which are Prince Domenica, Prince Raimondo, and Prince Lelio, and then made up a fake person called Pepe Orsini. Pepe the Frog came to me, James Carner. The famous Q meme with the Japanese phrase kek, and I proposed the question, what if Pepe the Frog is really Domenico laughing at us in Japanese for falling again for this entire scheme? It's been over 7 years since Trump came, almost 8 now, came and left, and not one executive order was passed helping Americans, nor has any of the draconian spying laws like the Patriot Act been removed. In fact, our taxes are higher, our groceries are higher, and gas, it's just as high as it was under Obama. Sure, it went down $2, but I think they got that back by taxing us through inflation. No big deal. They got their money back. We see clues that there is a white hat operation. We do. But the goalpost keeps moving. Liam Dennis Tuohy is called the Illuminati's vicar of Prometheus, according to truthers. And Prometheus in Greek religion is one of the titans of the supreme trickster, god of fire. That ought to give you something to talk about. Similar to the Bible's interpretation of Satan, Prometheus' name means forethought, so he symbolizes thinking ahead and planning before taking action. So, what if Liam Dennis Tuohy went online to expose some evil, but not all of it? What if Tavistock was testing the waters before Trump became president in order to release Liam onto the scene as Q? He was on all of the popular free chat boards exposing some truths, just like before, but quickly left and then came back again. It sounds an awful like Q when he first arrived on 4chan, and then later on 8chan, and then later on Truth. Rumors flew around that Q was infiltrated by the CIA, and they took it over, but suddenly he returned on Truth Social by inheriting the Q handle, which could have only been given by Truth Social's administrators. Several people came forward over the years admitting they were Q, and some were exposed by speculators like Ron Watkins, who owns and runs 8kun, formerly 8chan. And basically, he admitted posting as Q, in the final documentary of the phenomenon. It appeared to be an accident or a winking accident to get credit for it. But he did, and he can't take that back. Other rumors floated that the original Q, who posted on 4chan, was the real Q, and Ron Watkins copycatted later on his website for whatever reasons. Anons, anonymous people, who have been following Q and decoded the messages have proved the original messages from 4chan are different than the messages on 8chan and Truth Social. A plausible explanation to this entire mystery could be that Liam Denis Tuohy originally posted on 4chan, whether for whatever reasons, in favor of Tavistock or not, exposed some truths and then disappeared like he's done before. Then Ron Watkins picked up the pieces. Now, Ron was a huge Q follower and built a following himself of millions of people. He also ran election in the U.S. House of Representatives, Arizona's 2nd Congressional District, which he didn't win. Devin Nunes, most likely picked up the idea to gain more Truth Social subscribers by creating the Q handle and posted whatever codes they stole from the original. Do you understand? So try as I may, I could really not find any evidence that links Liam Denis Tuohy to the Tavistock Institute, other than he has a gym a few miles away from it. What I did find strange is that the names he uses, like Liam Tuohy, who was a famous footballer, okay, which Liam could have stolen from, and he, in his videos, I noticed he's interested in football. He loves it. Loves football and loves MMA fighting. All right. He also, Tuohy was a famous footballer, which Liam could have stolen from, just as he did with the acclaimed boxer, or maybe he stole the name Liam Tuohy from the actor. Like, for example, let me take a step back. Craig Oxley is a famous boxer. I don't think his name was Craig Oxley or even Dennis Liam Tuohy, okay? Because he keeps stealing them from his idols. All right, so there is a Liam Tuohy, Tuohy, an actor who starred on the hit movie Titanic. Which conspiracy killed John Astor, Isidore Straus, and Benjamin Guggenheim, who were not in favor of the Federal Reserve Act. If it weren't for their deaths, the Federal Reserve Act may not have passed legislation in 1913. And so I find that interesting that Dennis is like giving Titanic references. Do you see what I mean? It's very, very strange. So another interesting tidbit is Too Tough Health and Fitness Ltd. Limited is just 3 minutes away from the Tavistock Institute. There is no doubt in my mind that Craig Too Tough Oxley is Liam Denis Tuohy, who owns Too Tough Health and Fitness Limited. He also owned a company called Lemtree Limited, Lemtree, which closed. I believe he closed it because he got his money to open up Too Tough from the Tavistock Institute to start Q. He also owned a company called Lemtree, we were talking about. So maybe Liam was paid by Tavistock to start Q on 4chan. I believe this is correct. Received the funds under the Lemtree Limited and then opened up his own dream company, Too Tough Fit Health and Fitness, to be an ADHD fitness trainer. And that was it. He never returned back to SQ. He had the skills to start a movement because he did it under Craig Oxley, had millions of followers. Okay, he had the skills. And he exposed just enough information to get the patriots to focus on research instead of fighting back against the government. So I showed you the video. I haven't seen any posts from you guys at all about that, if you guys think that sounds like him. In fact, I'm gonna play that video one more time because I'm telling you that Craig Oxley, this is Craig Oxley.
Anyway, you should put on loads and loads of weight. Maybe you've got no energy to do the things you used to do. Or perhaps you're missing nights out with friends and family. Maybe.
Okay, now listen to this guy. This is Craig Oxley on YouTube.
That truly controls the United States, linked,
him.
of course, with regional assistant James E. Grumman, Jesuit. It's the same Georgetown University where quickly...
Okay, now listen to this guy again.
You're missing meals because you feel like you can't really eat the things that
Okay, now this guy.
...named the groomed puppet that you know as William Clinton.
And this guy.
you just feel... Imagine you was in a place.
It's him. It's him. Come on. I mean, is it? I mean, anyway, so there it is, guys. That is all the information. Q was literally formed by the Tavistock Institute. They hired Denis Tuohy to form Q, who was Craig Oxley, and he got his money and went his way, and that is what I believe to be the truth at this time. This has been Cause Before Symptom. I'm your host, James Carner. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you. God bless you guys. I love you. I hope this has given you enough information to make your own judgment call. But I don't buy Trump, and I don't think that Q and the White Hats are real. And this is more evidence proving that. So be careful and prepare and fight back, but we're not going to have a jubilee, guys. That's just a lie. Love your neighbor. That's all I have to say. We'll see you guys mañana, which means tomorrow. God bless.